You're staring at a timestamp, August 20th, 2025. A microphone, a face you know, and a line that sends shockwaves through the league. Joel Embiid doesn't hedge. He doesn't hint. He says the quiet part out loud. The NBA ignored illegal trade talks around the Philadelphia 76ers. It's explosive, it's specific, and it lands right as front offices tighten summer moves and every rumor can tilt leverage. One clip, a dozen questions, and a franchise thrown into the kind of spotlight that burns hot and unforgiving. The reaction is instant. Philly fans rage that their MVP is finally saying what they've suspected for years. Rival fans clap back and call it theater. But here's the truth that matters tonight. The accusation touches the one area the league hates to discuss in daylight: tampering and illegal contact. That's not Twitter drama. That's draft picks, fines, suspensions, and the integrity of the marketplace. When a superstar pulls that fire alarm, everyone in the building has to choose a staircase. Start with the stakes before the mechanism. For the 76ers, this isn't just another headline. It's minutes, roles, and who gets the final shot when the season turns. It's whether their summer puzzle locks in behind Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, or whether an invisible hand already tilted the board. It's also money. Millions in potential penalties if the league ever confirms wrongdoing, and tens of millions in value swinging in trade talks that might never be public, but always exist in some form. And yes, it's legacy. Embiid's, the front offices. The leagues claim that the marketplace is clean enough to trust. Now, the mechanism. Tampering, illegal contact, whatever label you prefer, this is about conversations that shouldn't happen when they happen, with who they happen, and how those conversations shape outcomes. Players talk about the room, who's allowed in, who's not, and what happens when the walls feel thin. If Embiid believes conversations about his team's core were happening outside the lines, and the league shrugged, then going public isn't just a rant, it's a strategy. Here's where the pressure flips from personnel to policy. The CBA and league memos spell out punishments like lost picks, million-dollar fines, and even suspensions for individuals, not just teams. Those aren't theoretical. We've seen front offices hit. We've seen executives fined for a single post. The carrot for compliance is reputation and stability. The stick is the kind of penalty that haunts a franchise 2 drafts from now. When Embiid drops an accusation with a timestamp, he's telling the league, enforce your own law, or admit the law is only as real as your press releases. The first receipt you need is historical. Philadelphia has already lived through tampering noise. That context is not ancient history. It's the backdrop of every conversation about trust between this franchise and the league office. Fans remember what was taken and why. Executives know where the guardrails are supposed to be, and superstars learn exactly how much daylight there is between the letter of the rules and the reality of the marketplace. So what changes if Embiid is right? Start with leverage. If illegal conversations indeed nudged a market, say a rival front office getting a head start on a future pitch, or a player representative coordinating timing out of bounds, you don't just tilt one trade or one signing. You move the temperature of a season. You make a team defend its culture while competing for seeding. And you force decision makers to choose between the safe option, do nothing and hope the storm passes, or the bold option, publicly demand clarity and risk becoming the story for a week or a month. The counter-argument is predictable. Everyone talks, everyone nudges, and rumors are simply the air the league breathes. If you punish conversation, you punish the game's most connected people for doing what they do best. But that ignores the line the rules try to draw. There's a difference between background chatter and making something material, structuring a path, setting a price, or aligning timing in a way that removes any chance of a fair market. The league doesn't want to drain the ocean. It wants to build a seawall where futures and picks are on the line. Embiid's move is risky because it exposes him to the prove-it challenge. If the league says there's not enough evidence to act, critics will call it grandstanding. If the league opens a review, it invites a summer's worth of texts, calls, and whispers into the light. And yet, that's precisely why the clip hit so hard. He put his name on it. He attached a date to it. He removed the wiggle room of anonymous sources and per-league circles hedging. Stars teach the league how to treat stars. In going public, he teaches younger players that if you see a system failing you, you don't have to bury it behind no comment. What does this do inside the Sixers building? First, it consolidates the locker room around a clear line. We compete on the floor. We don't let shadow deals define our season. Second, it puts the front office in a spotlight it cannot dim. They must back their star without accidentally confirming any detail that triggers a penalty. They must project strength without signaling paranoia. And they must keep lines open with the league while guarding against leaks that undercut their own positioning in any future negotiation. There's also a tactical angle on the court. Embiid's gravity has always been the Sixers' superpower. The cleaner the context around him, the more violent that gravity feels. Collapse the paint, open the shooters, punish single coverage, live at the line. But controversy eats possessions if you let it. Coaches will set a tone. Normal prep, normal reads, protect the paint. Push an early offense, play from Embiid's touches. The best response to noise is ruthless execution. Stack wins and the storm sounds like distant thunder. Still, this is a media league. You can't outrun the story, you can only outlast it. Expect two narratives to collide. One says Embiid is protecting the sanctity of competition. The other says he's playing politics. The truth? It can be both. Protecting the game's fairness is politics. For years, fans have learned more from penalties announced after the fact than from transparent explanations in real time. If the league wants to change that, this is the moment to show the difference between rumors and rules. Here's the mid-video reveal that really reframes this. Player tampering isn't a myth. Under the rules, consequences can hit individuals, not just franchises. That means if a star orchestrated contact outside the legal window, the target isn't only the team that benefits, it can also be the person doing the nudging. That's rare, but it exists. Translate that to today. Embiid isn't only pointing at buildings and logos, he's pointing at behaviors. That makes allies nervous and enemies careful. What about the schedule pressure? Deadlines define the NBA's heartbeat. Qualifying offers, guarantee dates, training camp rosters, and the February trade deadline all compress decision-making and turn whispers into leverage. Public pressure in late summer is uniquely potent because it sets the tone before camp. When hierarchy and chemistry harden, a superstar making a policing call now tells every agent, every GM, and every rival, we're watching and we're not going to pretend leaks are just weather. Now, the counter case deserves airtime. Could Embiid's accusation backfire by painting the Sixers as difficult dance partners? Possibly. Rival executives might prefer quieter waters. You lose some noise, you gain signal. And for a team built around an MVP in his prime, signal beats spectacle every day. There's also the idea that going public hurts the relationship with the league office. That assumes the office values silence more than integrity. In reality, leagues value predictability. If a star shows you where the policy isn't working, you can fix the policy, reaffirm credibility, and move forward. Ignoring the signal and hoping the news cycle eats it is how you end up with cynicism for dessert. Fans aren't dumb. They see when a conversation is real. They see when punishment is performative. Remember, too, that Philadelphia's fan base is uniquely wired for this. They prefer bluntness over pleasantries. They'll ride with a star who takes the heat for the room. They'll also hold that star accountable if the words don't match the compete. Embiid knows that. This isn't a no-risk play. It's a calculated one. Put the pressure on the system, then validate it by dominating when the ball goes up. Zoom out to the league. Executives in other cities will read today like a weather report. If Embiid's move gains traction, expect a quiet tightening of communications, fewer texts, more calls, more face-to-face meetings in legal windows, and a heightened sensitivity to timestamps, because timestamps become evidence. If it gets shrugged off, expect the opposite: wider gray zones, bolder timing, and more stars camp comments that feel a little too coordinated to be spontaneous. There's a cultural dimension, too. The NBA brands itself as a player-empowered league. This is what empowerment looks like when it's uncomfortable. Stars asking for the rules to matter when those rules might slow down a headline trade. That's messy in the short term. It's healthy in the long term. You cannot sell integrity in June if you don't protect it in August. So, what's next? Scenario A. The league acknowledges the clip, reiterates policy, and, if warranted, opens a quiet review. That signals accountability without confirming any particular contact. Scenario B, silence with back-channel assurances to the team. That calms the fire but risks feeding the cynicism. Scenario C, a strong public defense of the current enforcement regime. Essentially telling the marketplace the guardrails are fine. Each path carries consequences. A review chills the gray market. Silence prolongs the debate. A defense hardens positions. For the Sixers, the watch list is simple. Keep the room airtight. No anonymous leaks. No sources say theater from inside your walls. Win the messaging. Support your star while speaking with precision. And win basketball. early preseason health checks, early October roster clarity, and a clean ramp into the first 10 games will matter more than any podium moment. If Embiid is at full force, if Maxi's usage and efficiency continue to scale, and if the supporting cast hits shots, narratives melt. For Embiid personally, this is a leadership hinge. He can't just be right, he has to be effective. That means no drip feed of vague hints. If you've said enough, let the clip stand. If you intend to push further, do it with clarity. Stars who play chess in public have to finish their combinations. The best version of this story ends with the league recommitting to transparency and the Sixers playing bully ball through the noise. To the fans, your job is the same as always: demand receipts and reward accountability. If someone claims a rule was broken, ask what rule, when, by whom, and to what material effect. If the answer is "we can't say yet," fine. Then judge the people who do the work to find out, not the people who ask the question. That's how a sports culture stays honest. There's a line in every dynasty story where a star decided the off-court game mattered as much as the on-court one. Sometimes it was a contract clause. Sometimes it was a trade request. Sometimes it was a press conference with a timestamp that said, "I'm not playing pretend." That's what this feels like. Not a tantrum, a line in the paint. And here's the verdict. Calling out alleged illegal trade talks isn't a distraction when done with purpose. It's an attempt to defend the marketplace you're forced to compete in. It raises risk, absolutely. It also raises standards. If you want the rings, you have to want the rules. The league can treat this as noise, or it can treat it as a free audit. The Sixers can brace, or they can build. Embiid already chose. Now it's everyone else's turn. So file the date, save the clip, watch the next press conference, the next league memo, the next set of boxes checked as the season ramps. If this moment turns into a policy moment, you'll remember exactly where it started. And if it fades, you'll remember who tried to make it count. Either way, the ball is up. Let's see who actually wants the game to be fair when the lights are brightest.